Hey everybody, this is Mike Anderson with Collision Advice. I'm here with my great friend Danny with the DEG, and we're working with SCRS to bring you a series of quick tips that will help you to boost your business. For today's tip, we're going to talk a little bit about the website www.degweb.org. Now, in the past, we've talked about my good friend here, Danny, who works with the DEG. And we've talked about the purpose of the DEG. The purpose of the DEG is, for example, if you want to prove something's included or not included, or you're trying to determine if there's a missing labor time for body, paint, or mechanical, or if you want to get a time changed, or even a part's missing, right? So the DEG can be used for all these different reasons. But here's the deal. How do we best submit an inquiry, Danny, to you at the DEG so we as a shop can get a response back quickly? What are some helpful tips to submit an inquiry, and what should we do? Let's start off with a paint. Let's say I want to submit an inquiry that was something that has to do with a paint labor time. What would be a good way I could provide that to you?
It's a great question, Mike, and I'd really encourage any DEG user to support that with photos of the vehicle and any kind of measurements you can take of the panel being refinished. Also, if there's any complexities or curves or anything that makes that panel more complex than than the normal flat panel, really helps support the inquiry. Again, we want to see the actual vehicle because, again, looking at it from a live view is different than looking at it from an engineering schematic view, which may not always capture the correct labor value or the required steps to perform on that operation.
Yeah, so correct. So I know one of the things I've learned in my labor or time in the industry is that paint times are based off of the size or dimension of a component.
Right.
So measure the component, right? Measure it, submit those dimensions to the DEG. Now let's talk about welded on components, right? I know in the past, Danny, that you and I have talked and you said, Mike, hey, I have some shops that will actually count the amount of welds or rivets, and they'll list out every single component that needs to be R&I'd and what the substrate's made out of. What similar tips like that do you have that you can share with people today?
So again, verifying the weld count or the rivet or the amount of holes that you need to drill, any panel attachment methods that are unique and special to that vehicle. Again, we're looking for anything unique and special that may stand out, which may not always be captured in that schematic view. So repair procedures always help, support and document, the need to, review the labor time published, because that may not always be, visible in what they're seeing when they're developing the labor times. So any information like, repair procedures, documentation from the manufacturer, again, even making a list of all the parts that you removed to gain access. That way we can, address if it's an included, not included, or potentially add those in the footnotes. So that way the user can identify if there's any missing operations or not included operations that they need to additionally consider.
Great. Now, Danny, from what I understand, I know factually you can submit and attach photos to the DEG. Can I also submit documentation like the OEM repair procedures as a PDF?
Absolutely. So repair procedures, a copy of the estimate will be very helpful as well, because we need to see the overall scope of the repair, as well as seeing what kind of overlaps are being applied, because those are the kind of errors and omissions that could be also corrected and fixed on the estimating system. So getting a copy of the estimate, and especially important in audit text, we need that labor report, because that labor report will really identify the root cause of the potential error if there is one that the user is inquiring about.
Great. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. If we want to get a quicker response from the DEG, remember, paint times, what's the substrate? Are there any lines? Is it textured? Does anything have to be masked off? What are the dimensions of the component? If it's a welded on component or structural component, how many welds, how many rivets, what components need to be R&I'd in order to replace the component? So again, the more information we can give Danny, actual photos, OEM repair procedures, is going to help us get a quick response. Any closing comments, Danny?
No, I mean, again, as much information you can. I will always reach out to you if there's any questions or anything. That we want to work on this together, so that way we can fix this all together and, like I said, make this a better, better program and an accurate information to everyone involved.
So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Don't delay.